Hey there, bowling fans. Welcome back to Bowling with Buddy. Yeah, it's been a while since I recorded a video. Between the holidays and travel and work, you know, some of us have a living to do. It's been kind of difficult for me to get out here lately, but does not mean I'm not excited about what we're about to introduce. And that is, I got a lot of balls to introduce. So we're gonna start with a ball that's already been released and has already proven to be one of my favorite go-to balls, which is unusual for me because usually I like a lot of symmetricals, but this big ASIM ball, the Absolute Power. This ball has proven to be an exceptional ball for me on the fresh, as well as some of the transition much later into the games. I bowled a 6-game tournament about 2 or 3 weeks ago. No lie, I averaged about 246 with this ball. I didn't use it every 6 games, but I used it 4 out of 6. And I was able to shoot no less than 246, went up to 253 with it. Made quite a bit of money that weekend with it. And what I found was it was very responsive off the friction, and it was able to get further down the lane, but not so far down the lane that it, you know, rolled out. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of show this to you, and I'm going to compare it to the Tour Dynamics, because I believe their shape for me, okay, this is for me. I believe the Tour Dynamics in this ball have a very similar shape for me and how they respond. And I want to show you how they look. I believe the Tour Dynamics is a little longer than this one. We're going to see in this video. And then I'm going to bowl a 1 game with the Absolute Power and kind of give you an idea of how that works. So with enough said, let's get started and let me start throwing the ball. All right, first up, I've thrown a few practice shots, so I already know I'm going to be standing about 25 with my feet. And I'm looking at about 13 at the arrows, which means I'll probably hit about 14, 15. And that's what I like about that ball. It's so predictable, so consistent, but man, when it goes through the pins, it goes through hard. Where would I find this ball fitting in my arsenal? Right now, it's game 1, okay? Especially on the fresh. That's what I really find. It's really great on the fresh oil. And I found it to be really good games 2 and halfway into game 3, but it really depends. When I found a lot of friction, I kind of had to get away from it, had to go something a little cleaner through the fronts, but overall, this ball really held the line. So let's throw another one. Again, I'm standing about 26, 27 now. Move left a little bit, 2 feet, or 2 feet, 2 boards, and I'm looking about 14, 15 at the arrows. I gushed it right. So there's my example of, I pushed it right to the dry, and it held. It did not over respond off the friction. And you know, a lot of ASIMs like to kind of like set and go into their roll. This ball seems to, and when it gets into a set, it rolls, but it's not as angular, not as sharp when it sets in. So let me move a couple more left, and I'm going to throw, now I'm going to send about 28, 29 with my feet, and I'm going to look at about, say, 15, 16. There you go. Ball's rolling right through the pins, the way I want it, right where I want it. As I keep migrating left, I'm pushing it out towards the right-hand side, and it's holding. Can you call it a house shot killer? Maybe, maybe. I did use, like I said, on a pattern a few weeks ago. The pattern was pretty heavy in the front, very tight in the middle, and a ton of friction to the right. So it was almost like an immediate cliff, but right now I'm bowling up on a used up house shot where we had a lot of youth and made it in a major minor league that used up quite a bit of the lane. So move 2 more left, and I'm going to stand, I'm going to say 31 with my feet, and I'm going to look at about, I don't know, 16, 17 at the arrows. Kept it in, but there's a great example of that AI core that was introduced with the Summit earlier last year. That core seems to help create a greater mix with the bowling balls as they go through the pins. Right there. I mean, that's a perfect example of how that AI core helps when the ball hits the pins. I'm going to move a couple more left and get over closer to 14, 15. I'm sorry, 18, 19. Again, that's that AI core. The ball, once it gets in, it gives you that extra mix. Say what you want to say about it. I think it works. I'm showing it here. It works. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the Tour Dynamics and kind of give you an idea of how that looks. Let's see here. Tour Dynamics. Both of these have quite a bit of lane shine. I would say probably like 10 games of lane shine on them. And they're not out of box. They're bold width, they're views, but they're both right at about 10 games. So I'm going to go back to where I started with the Absolute Power, and I'm going to stand about 24, 25, and I'm going to look about 13, 14, see how the Tour Dynamic does. Oh, it just didn't want to fall. But hey, I might have missed in a little bit, but if you notice, the Tour Dynamics was much smoother on the backside versus the Absolute Power. Much smoother. So let me slip up this 10 pin with my trusty spare ball. Okay. I mentioned it earlier in my video, and I'll put it down in the graphics. His balls are drilled 5.5 by 4 by 1.5. I don't drill them with a lot of flare because I really want them controlled on the backside. If I put up a 3-inch flare with my ball speed, there's too much flare and the ball overhooks. So for me, I back off on that by having a smaller pin buffer. All right, we're gonna try again at 25, 26 with my feet. And I'm gonna look about 13, 14 at the arrows. Pushed it right. And that is, for me, why the Absolute Power and the Tour Dynamics are very, very similar. They're very smooth, very controlled. I find the Tour Dynamics longer than the Absolute Power. So in that situation, so why have two ASIMs like that? If I'm dealing with a pattern, say it's 43 feet, and I need something that's gonna read a little sooner, that's where the Absolute Power is gonna come in. If I'm dealing with 41, 40 feet, I'm gonna use the Tour Dynamics. So it gets through a little longer and then shapes on the backside. That's kind of one of the reasons I would have both in my bag, depending on that long oil situation, medium to long oil. All right, I'm gonna move about 4 boards left, and I'm gonna stand about 29, and I'm gonna look at about 14, 15 at the arrows. I missed left a little. All right, well, again, balls are very straight, not straight, but straighter than the Absolute Power in my opinion. And for my game, this is how they compare. A lot of other people compare them to other different balls, but for me, with the latest releases that are out there, I think the Absolute Power and the Tour Dynamics are very similar. So I'm gonna move a little bit further left again. Now I'm gonna stand about 31, and I'm gonna look at about 16, 17 at the arrows. Oh, I pushed that way right. All right, so I pushed that way right, and I really didn't have a lot of hand in, so the ball didn't come back. That's on me. I'll throw it another way, but see what happens. Oh, that must have finished the game. So just for showing, what I did was I threw the Absolute Power and I threw the Tour Dynamics. All right. So for those wondering, I threw the Absolute Power for the first 6 frames, and I threw the Tour Dynamics the last 4 frames, and I ended up with a combined 268 for those 2 balls. Now we're going to go back to bowling with just the Absolute Power for a 1-game throwing. All right, so now I'm just going to do 1 game with the Absolute Power, 10 frames. Let's see what I can do with just this ball, and kind of give you a feedback. Again, I'm going to stand about 26 with my feet. My eyes are going to look at 13, 14, which means I may hit at 15. Ball read a little sooner, but it's going through the pins. It's going through the pins the way I would want it to right now. Nice and flush. All right, we're just going to stay where we're at. 26, looking at 13, 14. Missed inside. AI Core strikes. I'm still going to stand 26, 27. I'm going to try and hit my spot down lane, which is probably like 8, 9 down lane. Oh, that's right. Any other ball? That'd be in a big 4, but thank you, AI Core. AI Core kind of helped me get me a pin mix. All right, trusty spare ball, pick up your spare. I'm gonna stand 27, 28. I'm not gonna leak it right so much, because if I do, you see what it does. It jumps back hard. Oh, that's my mistake right there. All right, those are 2 poorly executed frames, so we're gonna make some move left here. I'm gonna go 28, 29 with my feet. And I'm gonna look at about 14, 15 at the arrows. There we go. Just wasn't in the right part of the lane. Ball showed it to me. Wasn't so much the ball as it was me playing the wrong part of the lane. All right, we're gonna stand 28, 29, and I'm gonna look at about 14, 15. Oh, slipped a little bit. Oh well, it struck. All right, 28, 29, looking at 14, 15. Use your air. All right, so we're in the 7th frame. We got 122 in the 7th or in the 6th. If I strike out, it's 232. Let's see if we can make that happen. No pressure. Not much I can do about that. I was pretty well executed from what I wanted, and just ball drove through. All right, 141 in the 7th, spare working. See if we can punch out for 221. Got lucky, but I'll take it. Domino messenger. All right, let's see if we can keep this going. Ah, too tight. Ball never had any good angle. Okay, so that's game, right? 210. No, not, you know, not the greatest reflection of the ball itself, as more of a amateur bowler here trying to shoot a video and trying to represent the brand. And unfortunately, I didn't do the ball justice. Anyways, the ball is great. I have had some exceptional success with it. I find it to be extremely versatile ball when you've got fresh oil and like you've got a medium pattern where the ball is gonna, you know, kind of read the friction and go through. I have not found success where there's a lot of oil and this ball reads. I need more of a medium oil. And if I were to sand it or put like 500 on it on fresh oil, it might read pretty well in the early, but you know, every situation is different. You never know. This is all lane shine. This is not polish or compound or Reacti-Gloss or anything like that. This shine is strictly from lane shine. And that will happen pretty damn quick, really quick. Not that that's a bad thing. I have no problem with lane shine. I think it kind of helps the ball sometimes in controlling the shape and controlling, you know, where you want the ball to go down lane. So this ball is already released. I want to believe it was released January 16th. Talk to your pro shop operator, review your arsenal with them, and see if there's a way where you can kind of put this in as your go-to ball for the start of the night on a house shot where there's a lot more friction. Or maybe this is a ball that you can use in a regional where there's medium pattern, medium length, and a decent amount of volume in the front side, but quite a bit of back end. So I think this is a ball that's going to be, you know, useful for you. For me, it's definitely going to be in an arsenal for me because, like, I deal with a lot of, you know, PBA regional patterns where there's more volume in the front and a little more friction down lane, and I need this to, you know, kind of work with it. So enough said. Get your Pro Shop operator, talk to them about your bowling balls, and see what they can do. The Absolute Storm is out, ready for you to get. And again, I can't appreciate you guys enough for checking out my channel. And if you can, like, subscribe, share, do whatever. If you got any comments, put them in, and I'll be more than happy to answer, help, and do whatever I can. Until then, you guys keep striking, be humble, and be kind.